Let's be honest, the gig economy is not perfect. In fact, it's far from it, and I've tried to present it in such a light that accurately reflects what myself and countless other drivers see around the country on a daily basis. Can you still make decent money as a DoorDash and Uber Eats driver? Depending on your market, yeah. But let's be honest, it's getting harder and harder, and as a result, I've had to adapt my strategy. In this video, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing differently and why you may want to consider it too. What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach Drives Fast for the RideShare Guy, and in this video, we're going to talk about the game of tug-of-war that we as drivers have been playing with the gig apps and why I feel we're on the losing side, and what we can do about it. I've been in the gig economy for 3.5 years now, and I know, frequently, it feels like we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But, more recently, it feels like we're taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Over this past year, we've seen drastic reductions in base pay as well as several questionable policies enacted by the gig apps. If you're wise, you'll look at this as a forecast of what's to come. So far, this all sounds very depressing, and if I'm being real, it is. But it seems like when things start to get good for us again as drivers, something happens and we get slapped back. This can come in the form of drastic reductions to base pay, oversaturation, or goofy programs that squeeze drivers for higher stats. I've got years and thousands of deliveries under my belt, and I like to think that I know delivery work like the back of my hand and the nuances that come with it. However, I can't just snap my fingers and spontaneously generate orders. So, like everybody else, I have to adapt. This work is not static, and if you want to survive, you have to adapt with it. I'd like to start with time management. In life in general, I hate wasting my time. But this is especially true if I'm trying to work, and in our line of work, time is money. But we're not making money if the tires aren't turning. So, what am I doing differently? Well, for starters, I will no longer be driving on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. There just aren't enough profitable orders unless the weather is poor to justify me getting out there and trying to earn money. Sure, I could go out and make 12 or 15 bucks an hour, but if I'm being honest, I could stay home and earn more than that. This brings me to something that every driver should be working towards: creating additional streams of income. Now, I don't say this to brag, but rather to prove a point. I have 8 streams of income. These range from just a few bucks a month to some being pretty substantial. When I started growing these income streams, I was flat broke and completely reliant on driving and the income it provided. The moral of the story is, if I can figure out how to do that, you most certainly can too. Don't get me wrong, a decent chunk of my income still comes from driving, but the goal for every driver should be self-reliance, not app reliance. Shit, if you were planning on doing 10 orders a day, great, do 11 and invest the money from the 11th. These apps are not going to give us a 401k or any kind of retirement plan, so it's on us to plan for our financial tomorrow. Now, you shouldn't consider this financial advice, just common sense advice. Think of a problem and solve it. Think about what you're talented at and figure out how to monetize it. Get creative. Have your idea? Great, now spend your downtime working on it. One more quick suggestion. When you have an order in the car, use that time to listen to an audiobook or a podcast. Learn something new, preferably something that'll help you make more money. Let's summarize this part of the video. Rather than going out and driving on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I know I'm going to be waiting around substantially longer for lower paying orders, I'm staying home and I'm working on my additional income streams. I'd like to urge you to start working on yours now. In 6 months, you'll be glad you did. I have a life goal: never having to work a W-2 job again. I can't stand them, I don't like taking orders, and I'm opinionated as shit. Now, I know some of you might be blown away by that, but I promise, it's true. So, a W-2 job is just not a good mix for me. Furthermore, a lot of W-2 jobs don't have the job security that many people want to pretend they do. Companies get outsourced, departments get downsized, and people do get fired. Any number of things can happen. Alright, this has been a bit of a tirade, but I really wanted to drive home the point that a W-2 isn't necessarily more secure than 1099 work. I'm of the opinion that far too many people live to work, rather than work to live. As gig workers, a lot of us don't have to do that because we get to choose our own hours. One of the things that not having a W-2 job allows me to do is manage my own time, and one of the ways I do that is by splitting my day into 2. On Monday, Thursday, and Friday, I can go out in the morning and get some Spark orders in. After that winds down, I could do some lunch orders and then wait around for a few hours for dinner. Or I can go home for a few hours and do what I want to do. My profitability goes down drastically if I stay out past 1:30 or 2, so I've started avoiding those hours altogether. When I finally get to the weekend, there's generally enough Spark orders to carry me through the day. If you drive for Spark, my market is kind of unique. Without having to go into Canada, the next closest Walmart is 30 miles south. It's not like some of the screenshots I've seen from other markets where you guys have about 15 Walmarts to choose from. As nice as that would be, it's just not the case here. Because of the one Walmart problem, I could get offers going upwards of 40 miles, so I have to make sure I'm getting the best price on gas. That's where Upside comes in. It'll show you the best gas prices in your market, and then give you cash back on top of it. Upside has been a lifesaver for me. Matter of fact, this is how much cashback I have personally earned using the app. If you haven't checked it out yet, click the link in the description and enjoy a bonus on your first fill-up. Check out Upside today and help support the channel. The one Walmart in my market isn't very close to many restaurants, and proximity matters. This poses a bit of a unique challenge for me sometimes, because I have to prioritize either doing Spark or doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. Sure, once I have a Spark order, I can then look for a food order to multi-app with it. But if I'm waiting at my food waiting place, I almost never see Spark offers, and if I'm waiting at Walmart, I rarely see food offers. That's not to say it never happens, but it's infrequent enough that I have to choose my times wisely. Fortunately, they're typically not busy at the same time, so this allows me to break up my day so I can work the system as effectively as possible. Let me know in the comments how you structure your day to stay as profitable as possible. Earlier in the video, I talked about base pay reductions and policy changes. Let's talk about why I've started avoiding doubles. Over this past year, both DoorDash and Uber Eats have taken a swipe at drivers in the form of base pay. On both platforms, you may only see $1 per order or less on doubles or triples. This makes us even more reliant on tips, which is problematic because I'm of the opinion that in the not so distant future, we're going to see the apps do away with upfront tipping. DoorDash has disabled upfront tipping in 2 markets now, and Uber Eats in 1. Typically, before we see a nationwide rollout of something goofy like that, they try it in 1 or 2 markets first. Look, I don't want to focus on the upfront tipping in this video. It's a subject for a different time. What I do want to focus on is the base pay, or the lack thereof. It's now possible to see $2 or less for doubles on Uber Eats and as low as $2 on DoorDash. Let's be really freaking honest here. Our cars aren't getting cheaper to drive, and it's not like our base pay is going to fluctuate back up with gas when that inevitably skyrockets again. So, what do? Some drivers love doubles, but I've all but stopped taking them. I'm unwilling to do more work for less pay. The exception to this is if both orders are picking up at the same restaurant and both customers are very close to each other. Then it's just a time saver. By declining doubles, my average payout is higher than a driver who accepts them. Now, I know that may sound like common sense, but I want you to really think about that. If you delivered 5 doubles in one night, and I delivered 5 singles in one night, I made twice as much as you did in base pay. Let that resonate for a minute. DoorDash makes it easy. They show you where both orders are picking up. Uber Eats does not. Depending on your risk tolerance, there's a solution to this problem. There's a free app called Para. It'll show you both pickups and the full address of both of your drop-offs. This app does violate the terms of service, so make sure you do your own research. Having said that, I've been using it for over 2 years now, and I've never had a problem. Look, you work hard for your money, and you should not drive your car into the ground for less pay. And doubles pay less. Well guys, that is going to about wrap up the video. If you haven't done so yet, please do consider pressing the like button and subscribing to the RideShare Guy. You can catch my videos here every Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video where I discuss whether government intervention in gig work is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm Zach Drives Fast for the RideShare Guy. Take care.